Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're tackling something called the paradox of the finish line. Have you ever found yourself, literally inches away from a massive breakthrough, and then suddenly, boom, you're hit by this intense, paralyzing wave of self-sabotage and this crazy urge to just quit? Well, you are definitely not alone in that. Today, we're going to unpack exactly why this happens and, more importantly, how to push right through it.
So let's look at this immediate conflict warring inside your mind right now. It's like a tug of war, right? On one side, you've got this profound restlessness and a deep desire for greatness. You know you're ready for the next level. But then, on the flip side, out of nowhere, you get hit with sudden procrastination, this strange, heavy fatigue, and pure self-sabotage. You start second-guessing everything, thinking, you know what, maybe I should wait. A lot of folks look at this friction and completely misinterpret it. They think, oh no, I've lost my discipline. But actually, scratch that. This isn't a lack of discipline at all. It's actually a glaring signal of impending success.
To really get why we do this to ourselves, we've got to look at the psychological reality of our brains. It all boils down to the pull of the familiar. Basically, this is the human tendency to seek safety in known frustrations rather than face the perceived threat of new freedom and growth. It's wild when you think about it. Our brains actually prefer the known, even if it's painful, just because it's predictable. It feels safe. It's kind of like keeping an old, lumpy couch that totally wrecks your back simply because, well, it's your couch. The new stuff, on the other hand, that is terrifying to your subconscious. So the closer you get to a massive transformation, the fiercer your internal resistance becomes, actively trying to pull you back into those comfortable frustrations.
And this brilliantly illustrates the whole concept. Think of it like a mountain climb. At hour 1, you're at base camp, putting in that initial physical effort. By hour 5, you're mid-climb, dealing with the usual exhaustion and fatigue. But check out the final minute. You are literally steps away from the summit. This is exactly where you face gale force winds, and suddenly you get this absolutely overwhelming urge to quit and turn back. You see, people don't want to quit at the summit because they lack capability. They want to quit because they are completely leaving the zone where everything was predictable. In life, just like on the mountain, the desire to quit peaks right at the very top.
Which brings us to busting a huge myth in personal development. You always hear people say they're afraid of failure, but our source material challenges that head-on. The real fear is not failure. The real fear is winning. Think about it for a second. Failure is actually deeply familiar to us. We know how to fail. We know how to comfort ourselves. We know exactly what the bottom looks like. Failure is cozy. It's actually victory that genuinely terrifies us. Because think about what winning actually means. Winning changes your identity. It demands a whole new level of responsibility. It draws attention. It separates the cycles of your life. And most importantly, winning kills your old excuses and forces you to grow. If you actually conquer that mountain, you can't hide behind that comfortable little story of, well, someday I'll do it if I get the chance. When the chance becomes reality, reality demands a completely new posture from you. And yeah, growing into that posture, that is seriously intimidating. And beyond all those new responsibilities, there's this silent, hidden fear that haunts almost everyone reaching for something great. Just let this thought sink in. What if I get everything and still feel empty? That is a paralyzing thought. It operates so quietly in the background of your mind. So many people are so terrified of reaching the top and finding out the view doesn't make them happy that they'll intentionally retreat to steps away from their ultimate goal. They sabotage themselves right at the finish line, just so they never actually have to find out the answer to that question. So, how do we break this cycle? How do we stop the sabotage? I want to snap you out of passive listening for a second and ask you directly, who are you doing this for? Seriously. If your answer only involves yourself, you're in a bit of danger here, because the ultimate lifeline out of this requires looking outward.
It all comes down to purpose over self. Maybe it's your family, maybe it's true freedom, or maybe it's a sacred promise you made to the future version of you. When you're fighting solely for yourself, man, it is so incredibly easy to surrender. You can just convince yourself, the effort isn't really worth it. But when you carry an external purpose, you can endure far beyond normal human limits. Purpose is the weight that keeps your feet firmly planted on the ground when those summit winds try to blow you right off the mountain.
This brings us to the core thesis of our source material today. When there is meaning, resistance loses its power. That right there is the ultimate anchor. You literally cannot permanently out-willpower your own subconscious fears, but you can out-mean them. Establishing profound meaning behind your actions is the only reliable antidote to the self-sabotage that strikes right before a breakthrough.
Now, what's really interesting about this contrast is how it dismantles the second biggest myth that holds people back. On one side, you have the trap, waiting for the ideal moment to finally feel ready. And on the other side, taking imperfect action while literally trembling with fear. If you're waiting for that magical morning where you wake up completely devoid of fear or doubt, you are going to be waiting forever. Almost nobody ever feels truly ready for something great.
The reality is, readiness isn't a prerequisite, it's a byproduct. Readiness is born on the journey. Confidence comes from movement. Standing still might feel like a safe way to prepare, but really, it's just a very slow way to lose out on opportunities. True readiness is built by stumbling forward, acting imperfectly, without any guarantees, and then doing it all over again tomorrow. You don't get confident to start, you start to get confident.
And I want to be super clear about the exact kind of action we're talking about here. This is true courage. That means advancing while fully conscious of the fear, rather than jumping blindly in the dark. We aren't advocating for reckless action here. You should absolutely be building your foundation and organizing your resources. But the key is that you are taking brave, intelligent steps forward while the fear is sitting right there next to you. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's refusing to let fear dictate your movements.
So, the crucial point is this massive reframe. Extreme doubt and sabotage are signals of proximity, not failure. If you're feeling an overwhelming urge to just throw in the towel, you have to completely change how you view those feelings. The resistance is always highest when the stakes are highest. That heavy, exhausting desire to quit, it actually means you are incredibly close to the finish line. To pull all of this together, the source lays out 4 very clear, actionable steps to remember when you hit that wall. Step 1. Recognize the pattern. When resistance hits, logically remind yourself that growth is imminent. Step 2. Give a face to your purpose. Remember exactly who benefits when you win, and keep that face in your mind. Step 3. Do not wait for perfection. Prepare yourself as you walk, not before you step. And step 4. Stay in the game. As long as you're trying, you're learning. And as long as you're learning, you're evolving.
Because ultimately, definitive failure is not falling. It is stopping. As long as you refuse to stay on the ground, the possibility for your ultimate victory remains completely alive. You only lock in a loss the exact second you decide to quit. Everything else, that's just data. It's feedback and preparation for your final push.
I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to take away from this explainer. What if you were literally seconds away from the turning point of your entire life and you just didn't know it? Would you really let the discomfort make you quit right now? Honestly, nobody knows how much time or distance is left until the breakthrough happens, which is why so many people abandon the climb way too early. Remember, the discomfort you're feeling isn't a wall, it's a portal. You don't need to feel ready to begin, you just need to begin in order to finally become ready. Keep going.